Okay, this is part 2. We asked the question, is marriage just a contract? And I made the argument that on the one hand, yes, it is, but that is a bigger deal than we think it is. A contract is quite a big deal, and I went into depth about that. But I also made the point that there's this weird, what I call the ancient component, because I have no other words for it, that follows you around. And that's that's the meaty bit, that's the part that I really want to get into, because that's the part that I found most challenging in going through a divorce. I've also found it most rewarding in going into a marriage, But I want to talk about the legal ruin, right? So, once you sign that contract, it's almost like you've made this monument, you've built this monument, this little corporation, if you will, to your relationship. And even once the romantic aspect of your relationship has dissolved, and even once the cohabiting bit has dissolved, you've moved out of the house, but you guys are still on paper legally married. Let's say you've packed your stuff, you get in the car, and you drive off to your new apartment, and then on the way there you get into an accident. You are still stuck in this legal contract. Do you know what I mean? And this has been illustrated. Obviously, that's the worst possible scenario. Has been illustrated in a movie called Diary of a Mad Black Woman. That's where I first became aware of what could happen in circumstances like this, right? And so go check that out. But even once the curtain has fallen, it's like the monument that you built to your relationship will always follow you around. I've spoken before about how a marketing person might randomly call you and address you as Mrs. Ex-husband's surname. Or, you're just at a bar having fun or whatever, and somehow the legal component comes up. Or you're just trying to do something simple like fill out your tax and it comes up. There are always these little reminders, especially for parents whose surname might now be different from their own kids. There's always this little reminder as you're trying to navigate that, and that can be quite triggering, and depending on our different situations, for some of us that's negligible. For other people, that might be quite heavy. But I think that is one of the things that a divorcee has to process that a person who has broken up doesn't. In no other kind of relationship do you ever have to think about it, in the most random circumstance ever again. But now I want to talk about the ancient component, the social component, the unwritten, invisible thing that I can't find a word for. So please do join me for part 3, okay? You'll have no context for either of these videos if you haven't watched part 1. Okay, thank you. Bye.